Hello, we are going to look at creating an amortization table. This would be a table that is showing how a loan is paid back. So for our example, we have a loan of $3,500. We have an APR of 9%, and we're going to pay off that loan in 2 years. We are given a huge formula to work with, and we need to figure out how these values fit into the formula. So first things first, right here, P is the first input value, and P stands for the principal, or the amount of the loan. So this amount right here is our P value. Next thing we have is R. R stands for the interest rate. Down here I am given a note that I'm to take the APR and divide it by 12. So right here's my APR, 9%. First thing I want to do is take that and make it a decimal, so 0.09. And then I want to divide that by 12. And I want to record all the decimals for that if at all possible. So when I do that, I get 0.0075. Next thing is T. T stands for time. The time here looks like 2 years, but when I look further, the formula is dealing with months, and I see that as well here with the monthly payments. So 2 years is going to be 24 months. Next value is K. K represents, as we have here, the monthly payments, and our amortization table is supposed to show the balance, so after each payment was made. So K is going to remain a variable. So what I'm going to do is to fill in all the numbers that I know into this formula, letting K remain my one and only variable. So the balance of this loan based on K, how many payments I've made, is going to have the following formula. So this formula is a huge fraction, and the first thing that goes into the formula is the value of P, which is the 3,500 that we are borrowing. Next, our formula has a parenthesis. It has E, which we know is a constant. It has R, which we had calculated as 0.0075, times T, which we had calculated to be 24. So I'm going to make a little asterisk here, 24. And then we're minusing E with an exponent of R, excuse me there, 0.075, and this has our K, which we're not filling in a number for. In the bottom of our fraction, we again have E, we have R, we have T, and then subtract 1. So we have filled in our values all except K, which is our variable. The next thing that we're going to do is to add some parentheses to this so that we will be able to put this in our calculator, and our calculator will understand what we want it to be. In our calculator, we are going to need to let our calculator know that this is indeed a fraction. So I see when I wrote this originally, I missed ending a parenthesis there. So that is this parenthesis that's right here. I need to have parentheses around the entire numerator and the entire denominator. That is the only way to communicate with my calculator that this is indeed a fraction, and my calculator needs to know that. Secondly, I'll need to communicate with my calculator what are the exponents. So again, I'm changing my pen color, and I'm going to have to add parenthesis here because this is all an exponent. I'm going to have to add parenthesis here. This is all an exponent. I'm going to have to add parentheses here because this is all of an exponent. So once I have all of that figured out, I'm actually ready to type this into my calculator. My calculator is going to do all of the work for me. So give me a moment. And I'll show you a computerized version of the calculator. So on the left-hand side of the screen, you see all the buttons that you have on your calculator. And on the right-hand side of the screen, you see what your calculator screen looks like. Mine's just bigger so you can see all the details. Because I would like to know lots of values for this formula, I'm going to type it into the part of my calculator where there is a y equals. It's a place to enter an equation. So y equals. And you see this list, and I'm going to type this as y1. So when I look at the formula that I handwritten, which I have written in front of me, and you have seen on the previous slide, go back there a moment, this formula right here, we see that it starts with a parenthesis, then the 3,500, another parenthesis. So we're going to type all of those parentheses right into our calculator. So parenthesis, 3,500. And then we have another parenthesis that was in our original formula. We have E, which we can get on our calculator using second and the ln button here by the 4. Now, my particular calculator is the TI-84 Plus Color Edition, which understands exponents better than the TI-83. On the TI-84 Plus Color Edition, I would not need this parenthesis, but on the others I do, so I'm going to type it. So in my exponent, I have a parenthesis. I had r, which is 0.0075 times 24. That is the end of my exponent, so I end my parenthesis. And on this particular calculator, you see this arrow blinking right here. I have to use my arrow to get out of the exponent position. Then we had subtract. We had e again. Our next exponent had a parenthesis, 0.0075, and this is where we had our variable k. Our calculator only has the variable x available to us. The x is here beside the alpha button, so I'll type x even though it was k. End my parenthesis, leave the exponent spot, end the parenthesis that was part of the formula, and end a parenthesis for the numerator of my fraction. Hit my division. I'm ready to type the denominator. I start with a parenthesis. I first off had e with an exponent, so using my parentheses again, 0.0075 times 24. Done with the exponent, so end my parenthesis and leave that position. Minus 1, done with the denominator, end my parenthesis. So I have it typed in. Now, I would like to see a whole list of values so that I have the full amortization table in front of me. So in order to do that, I'm going to, on my calculator, set up my table. And if you see where I'm pointing here with the mouse, I have this table set up that's available using the second key. So I hit second and window. I would like my table to start with the X value of 0 months, because that's how I've been asked to report this. Arrowing down. I would like my table to change by 1 month at a time. So if this table changes anything other than 1, I would type a 1. Now I would like to view the table of values. So the table of values again is available using the second key. So I hit second and graph. And you see my entire table of values. So I have month 0 and the balance, months 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then my table jumps back on my PowerPoint slide, so months 0 through 6, and I can copy down those values, up to month 18. So on my calculator, I have two options. One, I can use my arrow and scroll. So here you see me scrolling through the values, scrolling down to additional months. The other is to reset my table. So I can go Table Setup, and now start at month 18. And when I go back to my table, I have now jumped to month 18, and you can see that zero balance. I've paid this off in 24 months as expected. Now, when I was, and I'm going to just go to table setup, start back at month 0, go back to my table. When I see these values, I do not see them with the cents. I see them rounded to the tenths. So in order to see the full value, arrow over, arrow down, and you'll see right here at the bottom of my screen, I see the full value, and so I could see that this would round to $3,366.40. Moving down, this one, $3,231.79. So, really important when I'm doing these problems is in my original problem to add the parentheses that are in red to tell my calculator it is indeed a fraction. The parentheses in green to tell my calculator that this is where the exponent starts and ends. When I go to my calculator, I type this in the y equals. It is important that I have a variable, so here's my x. I use second and window to set up my table to start at 0 and change by 1. And I use second and the graph button to see the values. When I use the arrow keys to go to a value, I see the complete value at the bottom of my screen.